Our story begins at the hospital. The lady shyly told the man that he was annoying and that he was in such a hurry even though they were at the hospital. The man asked the lady what she was afraid of and he told Wang Kao to keep watch outside to ensure nobody would intrude. The lady pushed the man, reminding him that Yi Chen was still in bed and inquired, "What if Chen wakes up?" The man responded dismissively, labeling Chen as a crippled loser, stating that even if Chen woke up, he wouldn't be capable of anything. He also admitted that Chen was aware of their actions all along. The man then confidently told the lady that if Chen dared to confront him that day, he would have to retaliate against Chen in her presence. Suddenly, a flash of lightning tore across the sky, startling our protagonist Chen awake. He immediately sat up and noticed Yuan Hao and Liu Yuxi intimately close together. Chen was surprised. He had returned to his previous life and realized that he was in Jiangnan City for the first time that day. In the past, on that day, he discovered his girlfriend Liu Yuxi was in a relationship with Yuan Hao. When he confronted them, Hao shoved him onto the road where he was hit by a truck loaded with dirt. Even though he survived the accident, he was left with a lifelong disability. His father approached the Yuan family to seek justice for him, but they viciously beat his father to death. Upon hearing the news, he succumbed to despair and died. However, the heavens did not abandon him. His soul crossed over to the immortal world where he experienced 3,000 years of cultivation. Reaching the realm of Mahayana, he dominated the world and the 8 realms. He was revered by countless people as the immortal emperor of Xuanchen, yet the humiliation of his past and his father's tragic death were burdens he couldn't shake off. After failing to overcome the tribulation, his body perished. He never anticipated that he would return to that fateful day, but he knew that the day had just begun. Hao, knowing about Chen's disability and aware that he was awake, cruelly threatened to take his girlfriend in front of him. Chen, however, knew he had the Taixuan Sutra in his mind, which, combined with his top cultivation in the world of immortal cultivation, could easily cure his crippled legs. The Taixuan Sutra channeled the true Kai into his body and circulated it throughout. It allowed him to reach the first level of Kai refinement in an instant, making him feel as if bone cleansing marked a new beginning. He didn't mind his disability. Hao and Yuxi were taken aback and couldn't understand how he managed to stand up. Yuxi accused him of colluding with the doctor to deceive her for sympathy. Hao, in a fit of anger, slapped Yuxi while asking if she felt any sympathy for his crippled legs. Shocked, Yuxi covered her cheek. Hao attempted to punch Chen, but he deftly dodged and asked Hao if he was serious about attacking him. In response, he punched Hao in the stomach. Hao, shaking, called for Wang Kao. A huge man barged into the room. Hao instructed Kao to deal with Chen while Yuxi helped him to his feet, demanding they leave for a top cosmetic hospital to treat her injured face. Meanwhile, Kao faced Chen and threatened to make his life miserable, but he was easily defeated within a second. Chen was about to step on Kao's face, reminding him that no one had ever defeated him. An hour later, Chen left the hospital. As the immortal emperor of Xuanchen, he knew that in his world, no one could harm him or his family. He vowed to make Hao and Yuxi pay for their actions. Later, inside the car, he remembered the incident from earlier that day. A woman named Chu Bingyu swerved her car to avoid hitting him, crashed into a barrier, and was seriously injured. She later died in the hospital. He stepped out of the car and stared at the hospital, acknowledging that he was to blame for what had transpired. He resolved to visit Bingyu to settle the matter. Inside the hospital, Bingyu's doctors and parents were engaged in a deep conversation. Bingyu's mother, in a state of panic, asked Dr. Chen about her daughter's condition. Dr. Chen replied that Bingyu's situation was unusual. The injuries from the car accident weren't critical, yet Bingyu was suddenly experiencing organ failure. Each test indicated that she was nearing the end of her life. How could this be? Bingyu's mother asked fearfully. Bingyu's father pleaded with Dr. Chen to save their daughter, assuring him that the Chu family would spare no expense. Dr. Chen shook his head, telling them that despite his decades of experience in saving countless lives, in his judgment, not even a divine power could save their daughter now. The news left Bingyu's parents dumbstruck. They couldn't believe their daughter's life was ending at just 20 years old. Feeling helpless, they were overcome with fear and sadness. Suddenly, Chen arrived and questioned who had made such a hopeless prediction about Bingyu's condition. Bingyu's mother, raising her voice, accused Chen of being the one who caused the accident. She remembered him from the footage, dashing into the road and causing Bingyu to swerve and hit an obstacle. Bingyu's father, seething with anger, asked Chen if he was there to face their wrath. Chen admitted his involvement in Bingyu's accident and declared that he was there to save her. Dr. Chen dismissed him as a delusional liar and ordered him to leave, then advised Bingyu's father to start preparing for his daughter's funeral. Chen, unfazed, mocked Dr. Chen and accused him of being cruel for declaring a still living person dead. He then told Bingyu's parents about her cold constitution, a condition she was born with that caused her temperature to drop daily from 3 a.m. to midnight until she was 10. Although it might have improved after that, he asked them if it still happened every 5 days. Bingyu's mother confirmed his accuracy and asked him how he knew, but Chen deflected the question. He instead asked them for their permission to enter Bingyu's room and treat her. After a moment of speechlessness, Bingyu's father agreed, entrusting his daughter's life to Chen. Chen entered Bingyu's room, requesting solitude during the treatment and instructing the parents to wait outside. Observing Bingyu, he noted her beauty and thought it would be a shame if she were to die. He unzipped Bingyu's dress and began treatment, assuring her that his intentions were purely to save her. Chen noticed that Bingyu's cold constitution seemed unnatural and suspected a frost-venomous pest was at play. He understood that the weaker the host, the stronger the poison. He placed his hand on her chest, extracting the poison from her body. After inspecting his hand, he deduced that the Chu family had formidable enemies, as such venomous pests could only be cast during the late stage of Kai refining. He crushed the pest, ridding Bingyu of the poison. Despite the removal of the poison, the cold energy lingered. He informed Bingyu that he could only keep her alive for now and they would have to address the cold energy later. He then channeled his power into her, explaining that the energy he was giving her was cultivated from the canon of Supreme Mystery, one of the top cultivation methods in the realm. This energy, being one of the universe's origins, should be enough to sustain her. After fully transferring the energy, Bingyu gasped and exclaimed about the heat. Chen glanced at her shyly, thinking he might have given her too much. A minute later, Bingyu's voice echoed throughout the hospital due to her panic. She asked him who he was and what he was doing to her. He reassured her not to misinterpret the situation and explained that he was there to save her. However, Bingyu retorted angrily, asking who on earth would undress someone to save them. Bingyu's parents and the doctor, hearing her cries, barged into the room immediately. Her mother rushed to embrace her, confessing how she had feared losing her daughter forever. Meanwhile, the doctor checked her pulse and was astounded to tell Bingyu's father that all of her failing organs had returned to normal functioning. The doctor then turned to Chen, expressing his admiration by proclaiming that even Yama, the god of death, would be baffled by his medical prowess. He bowed to Chen, admitting his previous disrespect. Chen responded kindly, stating that everyone has their limits, and it was understandable to doubt him. The doctor praised Chen's godlike medical skills and proposed to honor him as his mentor, expressing a desire to learn from him. Chen considered the scarcity of energy in that world and the difficulty of cultivating an internal core. He figured that it might be better to utilize external pills first to enhance his abilities. He handed the doctor a card, telling him there was no need for honor. However, there were a few items he needed, and if the doctor could procure them, he would be willing to teach him a few tricks. Gratefully accepting the card, the doctor pledged to exert every effort to fulfill Chen's request. Even if he failed to become his apprentice, the doctor felt it would be an honor to learn from Chen. Bingyu asked her parents about the ongoing events and the stranger's identity. Her father relayed the entire scenario, and a few minutes later, she thanked Chen for saving her life. He dismissed her gratitude as unnecessary, claiming they were even now. However, her father insisted they were indebted to Chen for his monumental assistance, a favor Chu Tianlong would never forget. Chen reassured Tianlong that now that Bingyu was fine, he owed him nothing. Tianlong responded that persisting and refusing his gratitude would be considered rude and promised to provide any help Chen might need in the future. Chen advised Bingyu to be cautious about her diet and stay warm. He also suggested she reduce her intake of cold foods to prevent catching a cold. Bingyu agreed, committing his words to memory. Later, as he was walking peacefully down the street, his phone rang. He answered it, and his father asked him why he had taken so long to pick up, inquiring whether he had arrived in Jiangnan to see Yuxi. Chen apologized for not answering sooner, informing his father that he had met Yuxi, but they had parted ways. His father told him not to force himself if they weren't compatible. However, he urged Chen to compose himself and not succumb to sadness. Moreover, his father requested him to visit his Uncle Deng and Auntie Zhang when he had time, as they had cared for him greatly during his childhood. Chen assured his father he would visit. In the past, he had stubbornly insisted on being with Yuxi, which had led to his life going downhill. However, after 3,000 years, he was finally able to heed his father's advice. He used to find his father's words irritating, but now they brought him warmth. Subsequently, he decided to do some shopping at the mall. Later, he arrived at the place where Auntie Wang resided. He remembered how kind Auntie Wang had been to him in his past life and felt that, after 3,000 years, it was time to repay her kindness. However, he noticed a man observing Auntie Wang's building. One of the men informed Jai that Wang Zuan lived in apartment number 303, and reminded his companions that Wang Zuan was wealthy and they should ask for more interest, or they'd have to answer to Brother Hu. Chen confronted the men, surmising that they were causing trouble for Auntie Wang. However, Jai only smiled and warned Chen to prepare himself for trouble, as Wang owed them 5 million. Jai threatened that if Wang failed to repay the debt that day, he would harm her entire family, including Chen. Upon hearing this, Chen was enraged. He kicked Jai away, startling Jai's companions. Jai crashed into a garbage bin filled with trash. Chen warned Jai's men that if they left immediately, he would spare their lives. Then, a minute later, he arrived at his aunt's apartment and rang the bell. Wang opened the door and was surprised to see him, prompting her to ask why he was in Jiangnan. He replied that he was there for an internship, so he came to visit her and his uncle. His aunt happily informed him that now that he was there, she would prepare some of his favorite foods. Then, Wang called her husband, Lao Deng, to inform him that Chen was there. Deng rose from his seat and offered one to Chen, mentioning that they hadn't seen each other for a few years. Deng asked about Chen's father, to which Chen responded that his father was working in a shoe factory. Deng reminded him that he came from a poor family, urging him to work harder to lighten his father's burden. He compared this to his own experience, stating that by Chen's age, he had already started a company in Jiangnan. Chen interrupted Deng's words by agreeing, which angered Deng. He felt that Chen wasn't listening to his elder's advice and predicted that Chen's future might be challenging. A woman appeared and asked her father, Deng, who Chen was. Deng explained that Chen was the son of his uncle Yi, their former neighbor, and was there to work in Jiangnan. She confessed that she didn't recognize him and assumed Chen was a random stranger who had shown up at their house unexpectedly. Therefore, she suspected that Chen was probably there seeking their help. Later, as they sat around the table for a meal, Deng urged Chen to try his aunt's cooking and asked if it was as good as the last time. Chen complimented his aunt, saying that her cooking was still excellent after all these years, which in his case meant 3,000 years. The woman speculated that Chen was trying to flatter them before asking for their help. Wang asked Chen if he had a girlfriend, and he replied that he did not. Wang glanced at her daughter while informing Chen that both their families had arranged for him and Ling Xiu to get married. Ling Xiu became upset and demanded to know if her mother was joking. She looked at Chen, thinking she had assumed he was there to ask for their help. However, she never anticipated that Chen was there for her. Chen told his aunt that he believed she might be mistaken, as he had never heard his father mention it. Wang responded that they were planning to bring it up after Ling Xiu's graduation, but didn't expect him to be in Jiangnan at the moment. Ling Xiu reminded her mother that they lived in an era of free love and that the old-fashioned arranged marriages were no longer practiced. She then directed her comment at Chen, criticizing him for not prioritizing hard work and instead adhering to traditional methods to find a wife. She questioned what type of man he was. Wang sternly reprimanded Ling Xiu for her lack of hospitality and impoliteness, but Ling Xiu retorted, asking her mother why she was defending people like Chen. Ling Xiu then stormed off, announcing that she had had enough. Deng told Chen to accompany him, and Chen complied. Deng explained to Chen that Ling Xiu's words weren't wrong and emphasized that even if his family was poor, he still needed ambition. He should focus on working hard to earn money instead of relying on old traditions to secure a wife and a family. Deng then handed him a card, informing him that it contained 100,000 and should be considered funding, as both he and Chen's father had been close in the past. As for the arranged marriage with Ling Xiu, he advised Chen to forget about it. Chen reassured his uncle that he had misunderstood and if Aunt Wang hadn't mentioned it, he wouldn't have known such an arrangement existed, and he didn't believe in it. Chen then excused himself, telling Deng that he had many pending matters in Jiangnan and would be leaving. He promised to visit Deng and Aunt Wang again once he was settled. Deng encouraged him, stating that he was intelligent and should focus on improving his family's situation, and hinted that he might still have a chance with Ling Xiu. Chen presented Aunt Wang with a card, promising to visit when he was free. He told her to contact him if she faced any difficulties, and he would do his best to assist. Wang praised him, commenting that he was a good boy and that she hadn't cared for him in vain. She examined the card, wondering what Chen meant by it and if he knew about her debt. She also suspected that Chen was merely checking up on her. Later, outside the building, a car stopped in the back and a large man emerged. The man furiously scolded his men, claiming that a dog was likely worth more than all of them combined, and asked what had happened. Jai addressed the man as Hu and admitted his incompetence. He informed Hu that the kid was tough, one punch and he was down. Hu kicked Jai, branding him useless, and demanded to know the whereabouts of the disrespectful kid. Suddenly, someone shouted, catching Hu's attention. Chen approached Hu, asking if he was looking for him. Hu walked towards him while the men cheered. He told his people that Chen was merely a piece of dead meat. Having been out there for many years, Hu claimed he had never seen anyone daring enough to challenge him. Hu aimed a punch at Chen, announcing that he was in for a beating. Hu then struck Chen's stomach with considerable force. Remarkably, Chen didn't move, not even flinching. Jai teasingly suggested Chen had been startled, mentioning that their brother Hu's speed and strength were akin to those of a renowned professional wrestler. Therefore, he assumed Chen was in trouble. Chen, however, merely smiled and swiftly moved behind Hu. Chen aimed 2 fingers towards Hu, hitting him under his armpit. Hu swore in pain. He exclaimed loudly about the hurt, shocking his followers who couldn't believe their leader had been overpowered. who stared at his arm, which was shaking uncontrollably. Chen swiftly approached him again, instantly launching another attack. Who struggled to accept that Chen was an extraordinary fighter. He began to question whether Chen was a martial artist. Despite his imminent defeat, Chen ceased his attack before he could kill Hu. He pulled back his arms, asking Hu if they could have a civil conversation. Hu addressed him respectfully as Mr. Martial Artist, thanking him for his mercy. He told Chen that his aunt's debt, along with the interest, was no longer required. He should take it as an apology gift. Chen told Hu that they would repay what they owed. He asked Hu why his aunt Wang was in debt. Hu explained that Wang's company was in financial trouble, and she needed money to cover its debts. Chen mused that the energy on the blue star was thin, making it unlikely for a cultivator to emerge. He needed more information, so he asked Hu to clarify why he'd called him a martial artist earlier. As Hu was explaining, Ling Xiu spotted him with Hu. Ling Xiu suspected he was living off women and mingling with gangsters, predicting he would end up in jail. After Hu finished sharing what he knew about martial artists, he told them they could leave. Jai suggested to Hu that, even if the kid was good at fighting, there was no need to treat him so kindly. Hu, however, told Jai that if his guesses were accurate, Chen's existence paralleled that of Master Lei. Lei, who was Hu's boss, headed the entire underworld of Jiangnan City. Jai was stunned to hear that the youngster they'd met was on par with their master, Lei. In Chen's apartment, he contemplated what Quan Hu had explained. Martial artists in this world were categorized into light energy, dark energy, transformation energy, and mastery. As per his knowledge, a 4th level Kai refining cultivator equated to a light energy martial artist. In cultivation, there were 9 realms: Kai refining, foundation establishment, Gold Core, Nascent Soul, Divine Transformation, Consolidation, Mahayana, and Tribulation. Chen realized he had achieved the Mahayana realm in his past life. Even if he had to start over, he had thousands of years of cultivation experience. With the aid of the canon of the Supreme Mystery, the process would be easy for him. He lifted his hands and, as expected, he reached the 4th level Kai refining stage within an hour. He knew the journey would be challenging at first, but once Chen Ping secured the necessary medicine, he could begin core cultivation. Suddenly, his phone rang. The caller was Bingyu. She explained she had just arrived in Kaianchuan and knew it might be difficult for him to find a rental property. She had a vacant house and offered it to him if he didn't mind. He accepted and asked her to send him the address. He also told her he would rid her of the cold energy in her body. Later, Bingyu asked if he was satisfied with the place. He replied that he didn't have many demands. She then asked when he would remove her cold energy. Unaware of a passing girl, he suggested they do it immediately, advising Bingyu to remove her clothing. Bingyu, stuttering, asked if it had to be now and if she had to remove all her clothes. The passing girl was shocked and puzzled, wondering what they were doing and thinking that rich people certainly had unique ways of enjoying themselves. Finding the situation overwhelming, the girl ran away. Chen ushered Bingyu inside, asking if she was joking and reminding her it was the same procedure as the previous day. He suggested they conduct the healing session inside to avoid the lunatic outside. Once inside the house, Chen immediately began to heal Bingyu's cold. She watched him, realizing Chen had no ulterior motives, and noted the warmth of his hands. After the session, he told her the cold energy had been entirely eliminated and she was free to go. Bingyu thanked him and extended an invitation to her father's banquet at the Moon Palace the following night. Chen accepted the invitation. Shortly after, he was gazing out the window, musing that the half-day he'd spent there felt quite pleasant. The spiritual energy on the mountaintop was ample. He speculated that if the villa were the center of a spiritual gathering formation, it would be beneficial. Suddenly, he noticed activity in the neighboring apartments. Upon closer examination, he spotted the girl who had passed by earlier. She was with men in suits, and he sensed something was amiss. The man touched the girl, named Ning Qiui, on the mouth and asked her why she couldn't just be obedient, and why she felt the need to make him force himself onto her. The man also told Qiui that he had slept with many who were more famous than her, so she should stop playing the innocent card. The other men in the suite called the man Director Feng and asked him why he wouldn't share Qiui with them after he had gotten a taste of her. The other men agreed, to which Feng replied with a smile that they should all do so. Feng ordered the man to position the camera, promising that once he got a good shot of that scene, she would have to obey them, to which the cameraman agreed. One of the men was about to close the curtain, but he noticed Chen looking at them. The man informed Feng that there was someone outside and that he had seen them. Feng ordered his people to grab Chen and bring him inside. They initially told him that they would pay him to keep the matter private, but Feng changed his mind and ordered his people to kill Chen, promising to pay them $1 million afterwards. The man agreed, but before they could reach him, Chen broke the window to enter the room. Chen accused Feng of being shameless for drugging a woman and yet still considering murdering him. He asked Feng if he really thought that he hadn't heard what was said, and told him that he would pay for his actions. The men fearfully asked Chen how he had gotten inside. but Feng countered their fear by suggesting that Chen was simply using a wire. Feng forcefully declared that no one could know what had happened that night and ordered his people to kill Chen. The men rushed towards Chen, knives in hand, telling him that he only had himself to blame for meddling in their affairs. Chen kicked the broken glass towards them, stating that they had asked for it. The shards of glass pierced the men's necks and they all collapsed around Feng simultaneously. Chen moved closer to Feng, remarking that it seemed like he was the one who had masterminded everything, which led to him collapsing on the floor. Feng pissed on his pants and begged Chen not to kill him, stating that he had connections and that Chen would be in big trouble if he did. He also promised to give Chen anything he wanted, as long as he didn't kill him. Despite this, Chen kicked Feng, sending him flying into the wall and causing his head to bleed. Chen gazed at the fallen men, contemplating how to clean up the scene and dispose of the bodies. He knew it would become a problem if he didn't take care of it. Suddenly, Kuyi woke up, complaining that it was too hot. She was shocked to see Chen, prompting her to ask who he was and why he was in her room. Kuyi suspected that he had followed her to her room to tarnish her reputation. She immediately stood up, knowing that she needed to call the police. But Chen hit her in the back of her neck, suggesting that she should rest a bit more. He gently laid her back down on the bed, aware that explaining the dead bodies would be a huge hassle if she saw them. Since he was already involved, he felt obligated to see it through. He then called Quan Hu to tell him that he had a difficult situation on his hands and needed his help. Later, Hu informed him that everything was taken care of and that he was leaving, to which Chen agreed. Huey woke up holding her head in pain and asked what had happened. Chen explained that she had been drugged and that he had saved her, adding that the headache was just a side effect of the drug, but it would pass soon. Huey didn't believe that he had saved her and accused him of following her and intending to harm her. Chen turned around and told her to think whatever she wanted. Huey began to wonder if she had misunderstood Chen because he seemed so calm. She also wondered where Director Feng was because she remembered him eagerly offering to escort her home. Could Feng have been the one who drugged her? She then noticed the camera and began to wonder if it had recorded something. Huey checked the video and saw that it was indeed the despicable director who had committed the act. She then observed how Chen easily dispatched the men, surprising her with his unexpected capabilities. Heavy rain poured outside their villa as Chen focused on harnessing the energy within him. He relished the presence of spiritual energy, speculating that had he been in his previous location, stabilizing the realm would have taken up to 10 days. Chen knew that once the pill was cultivated, he could complete the evolution process with the aid of the spiritual gathering formation, and then progress into the late stage. He was also aware that his tribulation failed in his past life not solely due to his inner demons, but because he advanced too hastily, causing his foundation to collapse. However, he was determined to build a strong foundation in this current life. Suddenly, his doorbell rang. Upon opening the door, he asked the woman standing there what she needed. Huey explained that the heavy rain and thunder, along with the day's events, had left her frightened. She requested to stay the night. Chen asked her whether she no longer thought of him as her harasser. She shyly admitted that she had seen the recording. She informed him that she had a photo shoot the next day, and she promised to return home in the morning, assuring him that she wouldn't be a bother for long. Chen agreed to let her in, and Huey expressed her gratitude, calling him a good person. After they had cleaned up, Huey confessed it was her first time entering Villa number 1. The Chu family normally reserved it for guests, not for sale, so she was surprised that Chen had managed to acquire it. He revealed that he hadn't bought it, but had helped the Chu family, and so it was gifted to him. Chen told her that if she intended to sleep there, she should keep quiet. Huey agreed, promising not to make any noise. As they lay in bed, Huey felt oddly comforted by Chen's presence. She apologized for her previous misunderstandings, but he dismissed it and suggested they sleep. Excitedly, Kui asked Chen if he was an assassin, having seen him practicing his moves. She queried how he managed to cross such distances in flight, awed by the spectacle. However, Chen didn't respond. She asked if he had already fallen asleep and how an assassin could afford to let his guard down. Above all, she demanded to know if he found her uninteresting. The next morning, Chen woke up to find Kui had left early. He mused on the demanding life of an actress. He knew he needed to head to his internship and establish a mortal identity in this world. As he prepared to leave, he discovered breakfast made by Kui along with a note thanking him for his kindness and promising to repay his generosity. She had also left her personal phone number, urging him to call her anytime. Later at Jiaran Food Inc., he entered the lobby. The receptionist directed him to the planning department for his internship, which he accepted. He overheard the chatter of colleagues speculating that he was Yuxi's abusive boyfriend, accused of burning Yuxi's face with cigarettes. They lamented the situation, unable to believe Yuxi could be with such a man. Yuxi's friend urged her to leave Chen, labeling him a broke, useless worker from a small town who was now abusing her. She reminded Yuxi about young Master Yuan, who drove her to work in a Porsche, suggesting that Hao was a better match, especially given his father's status in the education bureau. Yuxi retorted, insisting she and Hao were just friends. Chen paid them no mind. However, Ping, Yuxi's friend, angrily vowed to teach him a lesson. She approached Chen, admonishing him for taking Yuxi for granted and accusing him of abusing her, evident by her bandaged face. Ping tried to make him realize his unworthiness of Yuxi, but Chen dismissed them as brainless and accused Ping of being easily deceived. He noticed that Yuxi had begun playing the victim even before he set foot in the company. Tearfully, Yuxi confronted Chen, saying she didn't mind if he used her money or abused her. She had worked hard to secure his internship, hoping it would put him on the right path. But she questioned why he would humiliate her friend on his first day of work and if he considered her a pushover. Ping labeled him as shameless. Their altercation was interrupted by a man demanding to know why they were all gathered and not working. The manager of the planning department, Chen Kun, asks Yuxi why she is crying. Kun softly asks Yuxi what happened to her face, and Yuxi, crying, replies that it was nothing. Ping whispers everything to Kun, making him surprised that something like that had happened. Kun wonders what would happen if he shames Chen and makes Yuxi feel so ashamed of Chen that she would break up with him and accept Hao. Kun knows that they managed to make a couple of deals due to Chen even before Yuxi dated Hao, so if they actually became a couple, they would be able to get more deals. Until then, the planning department will be doing better than ever, so Kun thinks he has to get rid of Chen for the good of the department. Kun tells Chen that he knows what happened between him and Yuxi, and what surprises him is that a girl as capable as Yuxi would get together with someone like him. Chen replies, stating that by capable, he presumes Kun is referring to Yuxi's ability to rely on someone else to make a business deal. Yuxi asks him how he dares speak to the manager like that, and another female employee also gets angry with him due to his disrespectful words. However, Kun raises his hand to stop the girls. He then tells Chen that he won't discuss his private matter with Yuxi, but starting that day, he is an intern in the planning department, and therefore, he has standards. Kun explains to him that Yuxi has made an exceptional record for an intern within a month of joining the planning department. That's what he means by saying she is capable. So, to be fair, they have standards for each and every employee in their department. He shouldn't blame them for kicking him out if he can't achieve them. Chen replies that he definitely won't fall behind since he is Yuxi's boyfriend. Chen knows that Yuxi is pulling all these tricks just to make him break up with her so she can get with Yuan Hao without damaging her reputation. But he won't let that happen. Yuxi angrily tells him that he is doing this just to disgust her, but she'll see how he performs his task as a low-life worker from that small town. Kun tells him that Yuxi trusted him so much, it seems he has to give him a challenging task. Yuxi's expression immediately changes when she hears it and tells Kun that she is sure Chen will do great. Kun tells him that one of their main jobs in the planning department is to promote their company's products. However, now, Jiaran is missing a brand ambassador, and the seniors in the department have talked to multiple celebrities and influencers from Jiangnan. But there was never a suitable one. Even Yuxi has failed the task. So, since he thinks he is more capable than Yuxi, Kun hands him the task. But he only has 3 days. Chen teasingly asks them if a celebrity is all they want and tells them that it's an easy task. Ping tells him not to make her laugh with his little confidence, as she has been working in the planning department for 3 years and has never seen a newbie succeed, yet he thinks it's easy. The other girls also tell him that they have never seen such an oblivious dummy. Chen calls someone and introduces himself as her neighbor, Chen. He tells the person on the other line that he is in the planning department of Jiaran Food Inc., and there's a collaboration he wants to talk about. The person on the other line replies to wait for her and that she'll be there soon. Chen tells them that it's done and they are on their way, but the girls don't believe him. They teasingly ask him if the celebrity is his employee and that he should see a doctor because he is delusional. Ping tells Yuxi that Chen is only good at acting and she should break up with him. Yuxi replies that she never thought Chen would change into someone like that, and she'll go talk to him. Yuxi pulls Chen aside, telling him that he should follow her. Before they completely leave, Ping tells Yuxi to break up with Chen and not to trust all his sweet words. Yuxi tells Chen that he was good to her back then, but asks him why he can't see things from her perspective now. She tells him that she has a bright future there and if they found out that she cheated, she couldn't continue to work there. She asks him if he can't just end things with her. Chen tells her that she is the one who cheated, yet he has to be the one protecting her reputation and breaking up with her. Then, he teasingly asks her if he looks like an idiot to her. Yuxi furiously asks him if he thinks he was innocent in all that and tells him that if it wasn't for him being broke, she wouldn't have cheated. She starts to ask if he really does love her, but before she can finish her sentence, Chen punches the wall behind her, causing her to recoil in fear. Chen tells Yuxi that she is the one who messed up, so she shouldn't expect him to be the thoughtful one. He firmly tells her to remember that she doesn't deserve it. Then, Chen turns around, telling her to stop bothering him from now on or else she'll regret it. Despite this, Yuxi tells him that if she can't have a good life then he won't. And once his D-list celebrity arrives, she'll make him feel embarrassed. Later, Ping asks Yuxi how it went. Yuxi, crying, replies that she never thought Chen would change and that she has decided to break up with him. Ping supports her decision and tells her that she should have made that decision years ago, and that she should get together with Hao because Hao treats her much better. Suddenly, Qi arrives with her bodyguards, causing the people to panic. They wonder why a popular celebrity like Ning Qi would be there, and others tell Qi that they are her fans. Kun immediately approaches Qi, introduces himself, and asks her if she was there to talk about the collaboration. Qi replies yes. Kun knows that Qi is an A-list celebrity, and he suspects that it's probably Hao's effort to get her there. Kun can't believe it and tells Qi that she can head into his office and they can talk. Kun knows that if they can sign a contract with such a famous celebrity, the bonus would be tripled, so he must seize that chance. But then, Qi walks past him, leaving him confused. Qi sweetly touches Chen's shoulder, asking him how it went and if she was fast. Chen replies that it was alright and he won't say she was slow. Then, Chen told Qi that their company was missing a brand ambassador, and asked her if she wanted to do it, to which Qi immediately agreed. Kun couldn't believe that Chen was the one who brought Qi there, and Ping couldn't believe that Qi had agreed so easily either. Yuxi said that it was impossible and asked why she didn't know that Chen knew such a celebrity. Then, Yuxi remembered that Chen had mentioned that Qi was his neighbor when he was on the phone. She had heard that some celebrities lived in modest houses just to avoid the paparazzi, so she assumed Chen had managed to rent a house next to a celebrity. Chen told Kun that the collaboration was arranged, so they could discuss the fees a bit. Kun told Chen that the company's budget was only around a couple of $100,000 and he feared that a celebrity like Qi might be too expensive. Yuxi angrily told Chen that their manager Kun had only asked him to invite a normal celebrity, but instead, he had Qi, an A-list celebrity, over. Then she asked him if he had ever considered whether the company could afford the collaboration. Chen replied that today was his first day at work, so he didn't know that their company was in financial trouble. Qi told them that usually, her collaboration fees were quite high, starting from 5 million, but she had never mentioned wanting any collaboration fees from them. This revelation surprised them, as Qi wasn't asking for any collaboration fees. Qi told them that one couldn't compare a mere 5 million to Chen's job and they should consider it a boost for Chen's sales. She told Kun that he could discuss further details with her assistant and that she was going out to have lunch with Chen now. To this, Kun nervously replied, "Alright." Chen told Qi that she was probably tired from rushing there, so they should go, and he would treat her to lunch. Qi asked him what he meant by his treats when she should be the one treating him to lunch because he was the one who saved her life. After they had left, Kun said that Qi had mentioned a mere 5 million and angrily asked what made Chen so deserving. Ping thought Qi must have been lied to by Chen and it was easy for him to manipulate another girl, as he was known for gaslighting. Yuxi asked Chen how he could have the audacity to say that she was the one who betrayed him when he was the one who betrayed her. She also thought that Qi would never want someone like Chen, who was broke, and Qi must have been lied to. She told Chen to wait until Qi found out because the consequences that Chen would face were going to be much worse. Later, Qi told Chen that if he needed anything, he could just call her anytime and she would be going back to work, so they would see each other at home that night. He replied, okay, and thought that Qi spoke as if they were going back to the same house that night. When he was about to return, his phone rang. He answered it, and the person on the other line told him that the banquet was starting soon, and asked if he needed a ride. He replied affirmatively and gave his current address. The person on the other line asked him if he needed any styling or new clothes because she could arrange it for him. He declined, saying it was too much of a hassle, and asked if he should take it as Bingyu being embarrassed by him. Bingyu asked back why she would be when Chen was their family's special guest, and told him to wait a moment as she would be there in 10 minutes. An hour later, in the high-end hotel, Moon Palace, Yuxi was amazed to enter the most luxurious hotel in the entire Jiangnan city with Yuan Hao by her side. She told Hao that he was so cool and even big families like the Chu family would invite him to their banquets. Hao replied, of course, and with his father's reputation, he was still quite a figure in Jiangnan. Suddenly, Yuxi saw Chen sitting and asked if it wasn't Chen. She looked closer and confirmed that it was Chen, making her wonder how Chen had managed to get in. Yuxi wondered if Chen could be there with Qi and told Hao that Qi had even helped Chen with a 5 million business deal that afternoon, so it wasn't hard to imagine that Qi might have brought Chen there. However, Hao told her it was impossible, and if Qi had actually brought Chen with her, he wondered why Qi would allow Chen to come in such shabby attire, as that would just embarrass Qi. Yuxi told Hao that Chen must have snuck in, and Hao told her that Chen was asking for trouble by sneaking into a Chu family's banquet. Yuxi pointed at Chen while angrily asking where the security was and how a stray dog could sneak into the Moon Palace. Then she ordered the security to remove Chen from the premises. The security approached Chen while the crowd wondered how anyone could sneak into the Moon Palace. They thought Chen was doomed because it was the Chu family's banquet. But Chen just looked back, wondering what was happening. Hao loudly declared that his father was Yuanzhong from the Education Bureau, and that Chen, who he pointed at, was his university coursemate, a broke punk. He assured them that Chen had snuck in there, so they should remove him immediately. The security told Chen that if Hao said so, then he was sure they hadn't misjudged the situation and asked him to show his invitation or they would have to escort him out. Chen replied that he was brought there by Chu Bingyu and he hadn't heard anything about needing an invitation. Hao mockingly asked him how dare a punk like him use Chu Bingyu's name so casually, and Yuxi told him he should create a believable story for his lies. She asked him if he thought he had some sort of power just because he knew a celebrity. The security sternly told Chen that if he couldn't show them his invitation, then he shouldn't blame them for being harsh. Suddenly, Bingyu arrived, ordering them to stop and warning them that anyone who dared to treat Chen badly would get on her bad side. Hao can't believe that Bingyu simply addresses Chen as Mr. out of respect. Bingyu bows to Chen, apologizing and confessing that it was her fault. Yuxi informs Bingyu that Chen is a liar and that he was flirting with another female celebrity that very morning with all his sweet words. She warns Bingyu not to be fooled by him. Bingyu retorts, telling Yuxi that she doesn't need her to describe what kind of person Chen is. She also advises Yuxi to take a good look at herself before pointing fingers at others. Following this, Bingyu orders the security personnel to escort Hao and Yuxi out. Hao tries to reason with Bingyu, informing her that his father is Yuanzhong from the Education Bureau and they were invited by the Chu family. However, Bingyu counters, saying that it seems Yuanzhong never informed Hao about the intention behind that night's banquet. She instructs them to go home and inquire about it from his father. Subsequently, the security personnel escort them out of the hotel. Despite being in pain, Yuxi questions what kind of spell Chen has cast on Bingyu and what makes him qualified to be there. Hao calls his father to ask about the purpose of the Chu family's banquet. His father explains that one of the intentions of the banquet is to celebrate Bingyu's recovery and to thank the person who saved her. Apparently, that person's last name is Yi. Yuxi asks Hao what his father said. Hao replies that according to his father, the Chu family banquet was organized to thank someone who saved Bingyu, and that person's last name is Yi, suggesting it could be Yi Chen. Yuxi exclaims that it's impossible, stating that Chen was in a car accident when he arrived in Jiangnan City. She wonders how Chen could possibly have saved Bingyu. Hao suddenly recalls that there was an Audi that crashed into a pier on the day of Chen's accident and posits that Bingyu might have been in that car. Yuxi asks if it's true that Chen saved Bingyu and if that means Chen is now wealthy. Hao scoffs, replying that the whole banquet is just for show and questions who would remember a minor character like Chen after the night. He angrily vows that once the incident dies down, Chen will have to pay for what he's done. Meanwhile, inside the Moon Palace, Bingyu informs everyone that Chen is the guest of honor that night, insisting they treat him well or face her wrath. The guests acquiesce, understanding her point. Bingyu then addresses Chen, stating that all the dignitaries from all corners of Jiangnan City are there to thank him and asks if he would mind revealing himself. He agrees without hesitation and they set off. While walking, Bingyu reflects on Chen's composure, surprised that an ordinary person like him isn't fazed being among Jiangnan's dignitaries. She agrees with her father's assessment that Chen is indeed talented. Bingyu offers to lead the way, and Chen questions whether she's always so rough with people. She blushes, denying it, and explains that she was angry because those two were so harsh towards him and she may have overreacted. Chen laughs and reassures her that he appreciates straightforward people. She looks at Chen, pondering his words and convinces herself not to overthink it. Later, Tianlong thanks all the guests who chose to participate in the banquet despite their busy schedules. He then reveals to everyone that his daughter had been in a car accident a few days prior, and if not for Chen's help, he might be mourning at a grave now. The attendees express that Bingyu is fortunate, but she redirects their attention back to Chen, the true guest of honor. Tianlong shares his fear that they might not know about Chen yet, but points out that Chen is actually an expert doctor. The attendees remark that only seasoned seniors in the medical field are referred to as experts, and Chen seems too young and more like a university student. A man from the crowd pipes up, confessing that Chen's skills surpass his own and are nothing short of incredible. As Dr. Pingjai moves closer to Chen, he affirms to everyone that Chen indeed deserves the title of an expert, leaving the guests surprised. Dr. Pingjai toasts to Chen's achievements at such a young age. Chen thanks Dr. Pingjai for his kindness. The guests realize that if both Elder Chen, who is the head of Jiangnan's medical industry, and Dr. Pingjai agree on Chen's skills, then Chen must indeed be incredible. They admit their previous judgments might have been wrong. Dr. Pingjai then whispers to Chen that he has obtained all the medicines that Chen had requested and asks if he should deliver them to him. Chen appreciates his swift action and instructs him to deliver the medicines to Villain Number 1 at Dragon Slumber Mountain tomorrow at noon. The crowd spots someone approaching and announces Elder Chu's arrival. Chen is surprised to see Elder Chu and wonders if Elder Chu is a martial artist. Tianlong and Bingyu bowed to show respect and greet Elder Chu. The elder asked Chen if he was the same expert who had saved Bingyu. Responding affirmatively, Chen received the elder's thanks for rescuing his cherished granddaughter. The elder then inquired about the mentor who had taught Chen his impressive skills. Chen disclosed that he didn't have a teacher, had never learned anything medically related, and only knew the bare minimum. The elder perceived Chen as being overly humble and began to wonder if Chen was concealing the identity of his mentor. As he searched his pocket, the elder expressed to Chen that his talents were indeed remarkable, and that it was normal for young men to be somewhat arrogant. The elder then presented him with a stamp, explaining that it was an official stamp of the Han Dynasty that he had managed to procure at an auction. He had kept it with him all these years, but decided to give it to Chen as a token of his gratitude. Tianlong expressed to his father that the stamp was his favorite item, never leaving his side for almost 6 years. However, the elder reassured Tianlong that no object was more precious than what Chen had done for their family. Despite realizing the stamp was counterfeit, Chen perceived Elder Chu, Jian Feng, to be sincere and believed that even Jian Feng might not be aware of the item's inauthenticity. Chen took no offense and resolved to also save Jian Feng's life, considering he was ready to forfeit what he believed was a prized possession. Chen confided in Jian Feng that he had saved Bingyu to rectify a situation that had occurred due to his actions, and now Jian Feng was sacrificing something he treasured, which left Chen feeling guilty for accepting it. He further revealed to Jian Feng that he noticed a hidden illness within him, promising to provide treatment at a later time. Jian Feng was taken aback, surprised that Chen had discerned this. Jian Feng then told Tianlong that Chen's medical prowess was as extraordinary as rumored because he was able to accurately diagnose his condition with just a glance. He confessed that his health had been deteriorating since the beginning of the year. While it might not be outwardly visible if left unchecked, he worried he would not endure much longer. Jian Feng explained that he had kept this secret because he could not identify the source of his illness, and he did not want his loved ones to worry unnecessarily. Tianlong assured Chen that he would fulfill any requirement if Chen could treat his father, while Bingyu pleaded with Chen to save her grandfather. Chen responded that a more detailed examination was needed to identify the true nature of the illness, but he promised to do his utmost. Upon learning that Chen was still an undergraduate and was interning at a food company, Tianlong proposed to Bingyu that they purchase the company and gift it to Chen, an idea to which Bingyu readily agreed. Chen replied that if they insisted, he would accept the offer, considering that his Aunt Wang was in financial need and the company could help alleviate some of her struggles. After the banquet, Chen returned home, suspecting that Jian Feng's illness might have been induced by demonic artifacts, and it was highly likely that the same item had caused Bingyu's freeze poisoning. The prospect of this intrigued Chen as he opened his door, only to find Qi had unlocked it before him, asking why he had returned so late. Chen retorted that his whereabouts were none of her concern and questioned her presence in his home. She explained that he had left his door unlocked and she was too frightened to stay in her own house alone. When Chen asked if this was the reason she had decided to stay, Kui pleaded for his sympathy. Kui voiced her discomfort in his absence, to which Chen suggested she could sleep in the guest room and refrain from disturbing him. Irritated, Kui accused him of being insensitive and marched towards the guest room, fuming, and accusing Chen of presuming that she wanted to sleep with him. In his room, Chen resumed cultivation. He planned to break through to the 5th level of Kai refining once Chen Pingjai's medicines arrived. Given both Jian Feng and Bingyu's conditions, he believed that there were more fascinating matters on Earth than he initially thought, necessitating an expedited increase in his power. Huey appeared at his door and announced her entrance. Entering the room, she started to explain that she didn't want to sleep with him, but was merely a bit frightened. She halted when she noticed Chen meditating. Waving her hand in front of his face, she asked if he was cultivating and why he was meditating. Chen asked her to either sleep or leave, rather than hovering around him. Despite thinking Chen strange, she admitted to feeling more secure with him nearby. The next morning, Qi was preparing food when the doorbell rang. She placed the food on the table, calling out that she was coming, before opening the door. On the doorstep stood Dr. Pingjai, asking if he had arrived at Chen's house. Qi welcomed Pingjai into Chen's house. She informed him she would call for Chen, while Pingjai found himself wondering why Qi looked so familiar. When Chen arrived, he asked Qi if she doesn't have a work. Qi, putting down her apron, informed him she had to film a commercial at his company that day and would be leaving soon. Before she departed, she reminded Chen to eat his breakfast. Pingjai then presented an item and explained that it was what Chen had asked for. After examining the item, Chen commented that it was satisfactory and asked Pingjai if he had a pen and paper. Once provided, Chen began to write, explaining to Pingjai that he had promised to teach him something. Now it was up to Pingjai to learn as much as he could. After finishing his writing, Chen informed Pingjai he had other tasks to attend to and left Pingjai to his own devices, a notion Pingjai accepted. As Pingjai examined the paper, he was shocked by Chen's inscriptions. A few minutes later, having arranged the ingredients Pingjai had brought him, Chen speculated he could cultivate a high-quality medicinal pill. He started the cultivation process, chanting as the ingredients levitated and broke into pieces mid-air. Eventually, he produced a common-level spiritual pill. Looking at it, he felt his spiritual fire gesture was still acceptable. He consumed the pill, confident that the spiritual energy contained in this common-level spiritual pill was sufficient to help him break through the 5th level of Kai refining. After consuming the pill, he experienced a painful sensation crawling through his body. A strong yellow light then emanated from him, enveloping his entire being. The light concentrated in his stomach and brain, forming a connection between his back and brain. To his surprise, he advanced to the 6th level of Kai refining. Chen was astonished that a common-level spiritual pill had helped him advance 2 levels, bringing him straight to the 6th level of Kai refining. He could feel the energy within him was unlike anything he had previously experienced. Planning to head to his company to check on Qi's filming progress, he was taken aback to find Pingjai bowing before him. In response to Chen's confused inquiry, Pingjai expressed his deep admiration for Chen, confessing that he felt enlightened just by reading a small part of what Chen had written. Despite considering himself unintelligent and potentially unable to meet Chen's standards, Pingjai was prepared to acknowledge Chen as his teacher. Chen reassured Pingjai, emphasizing that his insights were simply his views on the medical field and not as sacred as Pingjai had perceived them to be. While he doubted they could have a teacher-student relationship, Chen encouraged Pingjai to ask him any questions about anything he didn't understand. Pingjai responded by pointing out a line in Chen's writing that puzzled him. Later, at the company, the former chairman of Jiaran Food Inc., Zhu Ming, informed Chen that Jiaran was now under his control. Chen commended the Chu family for their swift action, but asked Ming to keep his chairmanship confidential for the time being. When questioned, Chen explained that only by keeping his position a secret could he truly assess his staff's performance, preventing dishonest behavior. Upon entering the planning department, Chen was greeted with hostility from Kun, who complained about Chen's tardiness on his 2nd day of work. Despite the threat of termination, Chen retorted that he had never seen a manager who could randomly fire an employee. He reminded Kun that he was an intern and had signed a contract. Kun, frustrated not only by Chen's tardiness but also his unwillingness to take criticism, decided to involve the HR department. After describing Chen's behavior, Kun instructed the HR representative to note the incident and informed Chen that he need not come in the next day. However, the HR representative apologized to Kun, explaining that she did not have the authority to terminate his employment. This left Kun demanding an explanation from HR, while Chen teasingly asked if he had been fired. Kun informed him that he was planning to terminate his employment, but given that it was his first instance of tardiness, he would grant him another opportunity. Afterward, Kun strolled away, warning Chen not to be late again. Consumed by fury, Kun resolved to remove Chen from his position once QE completed the commercial. He contemplated the impact of Chen's internship on his graduation and looked forward to seeing Chen beg for his help. Chen's phone rang, and he answered. The person on the other end asked if he had eaten lunch yet, to which he assured his father that he was about to do so. His father queried about his internship and the treatment he was receiving from his colleagues. Chen responded that everything was satisfactory and reassured his father not to worry. His father revealed that Auntie Wang had called him, mentioning Chen's visit. Chen confirmed this and pointed out to his father that if it weren't for that trip, he wouldn't have discovered the arranged marriage in place for him. His father clarified that he had been merely considering Chen's future and brought up the subject of Lingxiu. He then happily shared details about Lingxiu with his son. Later, in Zhang Zuan's house, Chen paced the corridor, pondering his father's intention to have him tutor Deng Lingxiu's homework. He wondered if his father was trying to set him up with Lingxiu. Comparing it to his past life where he didn't have a single elder family member, he viewed it as a somewhat sweet predicament. He then knocked on the door, which Wang opened with a warm welcome, inviting him inside. Chen noticed Deng's haste and inquired about his destination. Deng explained that the renowned actress Ning Qi was collaborating with Jiaran Food Inc., a small local company. Such an unlikely partnership was sure to create news. He had scheduled an appointment with the marketing manager later that afternoon, given his role overseeing the entire project. Deng wished Chen good luck with tutoring Lingxiu and promised to treat him after his work concluded. He bid his uncle farewell and asked Auntie Wang if Ling Xiu was home. She informed him that Ling Xiu was in her room doing homework and suggested he go straight in, while she prepared some fruit for them. As he approached Ling Xiu's room, he noticed a note instructing not to disturb her studies. He knocked, and Ling Xiu invited him in. Before he could sit, she clarified that she had conceded to the tutoring solely because she couldn't resist her mother. Ling Xiu asserted 3 conditions. Firstly, their discussions should remain purely educational, with no personal topics. Secondly, he must not touch anything in the room, especially her. And finally, despite her mother's fondness for him, there was no potential for a relationship between them, so he must not develop any romantic feelings for her. She informed him that if he could adhere to these rules, she would accept his tutoring. Chen agreed but requested that she also understand a few things. He explained that he was there due to his father and Auntie Wang's request, that aside from education, he harbored no interest in her, and lastly, she was misinterpreting his intentions because he had no interest in underage girls. This remark visibly angered Ling Xiu, but Chen urged her to stop wasting time and clarify her doubts. Ling Xiu questioned his unlikability and pointed out a challenging problem, secretly hoping to stump him with a difficult question. Chen reassured her that the problem was not as hard as it seemed, and the formula needed to solve it left her stunned. She approached him with another question she failed to understand. He pointed out the confusing part of the question. He glanced at Ling Xiu's chest, contemplating whether he would need to assist Auntie Wang financially. Despite his new position at Jia Ran, he knew he couldn't simply extract funds from the company. He realized he would need to earn money to support Auntie Wang. Ling Xiu noticed his gaze and covered her chest, demanding to know why he was looking there. She angrily reminded him that it was rude to stare at another woman. He apologized, explaining that he had merely been lost in thought. Ling Xiu suggested they continue their lesson. Later, she stretched, complimenting his teaching skills despite his seemingly ordinary appearance. Her phone rang, and she told the caller that she had forgotten about an event that evening but would soon be on her way. She informed Chen that he could leave since she needed to change her clothes for a karaoke outing with her classmates. He looked at her in confusion, but she ignored him and began selecting a dress from her closet. He wondered if Ling Xiu had a habit of going out at such times in her past life. Later, in the Rome Dynasty KTV, Ling Xiu arrived with Chen and apologized to her classmates for being late. Her classmates greeted her and asked who her companion was. She replied that Chen was her neighbor's son and they shouldn't mind him, they could just have their own fun. One girl whispered to Ling Xiu, wondering why, given that their arranged marriage was supposedly called off, Ling Xiu still brought Chen along. Ling Xiu suggested that her friend ask her mother about it, explaining that her mother had arranged for Chen to tutor her at home. Even for this karaoke outing, her mother insisted that Chen accompany her. The girl mused that Ling Xiu's mother might be worried about her, but who knows what was going on in Chen's head. Ling Xiu responded that it was good that Chen was with them. She'd ensure they kept some distance, hoping this would encourage Chen to leave her alone. The girl told Ling Xiu to wait, promising to talk to Zhu Xiaoming and arrange some sort of intervention. Ling Xiu tried to stop her, but the girl still informed Xiaoming that the would-be groom from their cancelled arranged marriage was trailing Ling Xiu. Xiaoming scoffed that Chen was still trying to win over Ling Xiu, branding Chen a loser. He assured the girl that he'd deal with Chen, confident that a bit of pressure would send him scurrying. Ling Xiu looked at Chen with concern, wondering if everything was alright and if Chen might be doubting himself because of all this. Chen, thinking that his Auntie Wang wasn't home after the tuition, overheard a phone call which led him to believe she was out gambling again. He thought he might need to find a way to make money. Suddenly, a man, clutching a wine bottle, asked Xiaoming loudly if that particular bottle of wine was expensive. The man informed Xiaoming that it was a Shadow Lafite Rothschild wine and asked him if it was true that it cost a couple of thousand. Xiaoming replied that most Shadow wines aren't expensive, but that specific bottle was quite old, costing around 50,000. The man was surprised to hear this, praising Xiaoming for his generosity. Xiaoming brushed it off, stating that it was not that much, just a bottle of 50,000 worth wine, and they were merely drinking it for fun. Chen didn't react at all, leaving the men puzzled as to why he showed no surprise. The man, again showing off his amazement, noticed that Xiaoming was wearing Armani and asked if it was expensive. Xiaoming replied that it was fine, implying that someone might have to work hard for their entire life just to afford it. Despite all this, Chen remained unfazed, leaving Xiaoming wondering why Chen hadn't reacted yet. Suddenly, Ming entered their room, declaring that he could still drink. Everyone was confused, and Ming quickly realized he was in the wrong room. Xiaoming asked Ming if he was Zhu Ming and why he had drunk so much. The girls asked who Ming was, noting that he was extremely drunk. A man commented that Ming could barely walk straight. Xiaoming told his friends to shut up and explained that Ming was a friend of his father's, and quite an influential man. Ming told Xiaoming it was alright, that he was just really happy. Xiaoming grabbed Ming's hand, intending to take him home. but Ming was surprised to see Chen sitting there too. Xiaoming asked who Mr. Yi was, telling Ming that he must be drunk because there was no Mr. Yi present. However, Ming told Xiaoming to step away and not be disrespectful. He stated that he needed to pay his respects to Mr. Ye. Ming told Chen that he couldn't believe he was seeing him there, that he had bought Jia Ran Inc. at triple the market price. He mentioned how he had let Chen make so much money that he hadn't even gotten a chance to thank him. Ming then drank the bottle of alcohol, assuring Chen that there was no need to tell anyone, and he would drink for him. Xiaoming, the girl, and Ling Xiu were shocked by this. Ming told Xiaoming that he'd cover his room bill, suggesting he should have a few glasses with Chen on his behalf. Ming then headed for the door, telling Chen that he was leaving. The girl stared at Chen, completely confused. One girl asked Ling Xiu what was happening, pointing out that Chen was supposed to come from a small town. Ling Xiu replied that she didn't know either. Xiaoming asked what was so surprising, dismissing the incident as Ming merely being drunk and confusing Chen for someone else. The girl told Ling Xiu that she was going to the restroom and asked Ling Xiu to accompany her, which Ling Xiu agreed to. Chen started to follow them, but Xiaoming blocked his path, questioning where he was going and if he intended to follow the ladies to the restroom. Xiaoming then derisively called Chen a puppy, but Chen calmly ordered Xiaoming to step aside. Another man angrily told Chen that he'd been mistaken for someone else and didn't even have the nerve to correct them. Now, he was showing attitude towards them. Suddenly, they heard a loud scream, and he knew that it was Ling Xiu. Ling Xiu, with fear in her eyes, asks the men what they want. One of the men, in a teasing manner, inquires why they are so nervous. He tells them that their brother Hai merely wants to get acquainted with her, suggesting she should take the hint. The girl warns the men not to try anything funny, for they are not alone, they have men with them. Ling Xiu concurs, telling them bluntly to back off. However, the man retorts, saying that it doesn't matter who else is there, he's the boss. If he doesn't permit it, nobody can leave that day. As Ling Xiu reaches for her phone, threatening to call for help if they make another move, the man abruptly snatches it away, telling her it's futile. He then commands his henchmen to take the girls. Panicked and fearful, the girls are grabbed by two of the men. Hai silences Ling Xiu with his hand while another man comments on her delicate appearance. As Hai bends Ling Xiu over, he contemplates taking his chances with her. Suddenly, a voice calls out, berating the men for their shameless act of ganging up on a lady. Hai and the boss turn around and see Chen, asking who he is. He jests that he is, technically, their great-great-grandfather, before launching into an attack, freeing the girls from the men's grasp. He checks on Ling Xiu, who remains silent in shock. The boss angrily asks Chen how he dare interrupt Hai's business, warning that he won't leave alive that day. Hai calls his gang and orders them to the restroom. Ling Xiu thanks Chen for his intervention but expresses her fear of their overwhelming numbers. Chen reassures her, reminding her of his promise to Auntie Wang to protect her. He insists nothing will harm her. The boss, impressed with Chen's fighting skills, taunts him and invites him to try more. Chen retorts that it doesn't matter how many people the boss has, he should forget about touching Ling Xiu. Overwhelmed by his protective gesture, Ling Xiu calls out his name. An infuriated Hai questions Chen, asking if he knows who he is. He tells Chen to contemplate his impending death before further provoking him. Chen, unafraid, reaches out to Hai, grabbing the hand he threatened Ling Xiu with. Chen then crushes Hai's hand, telling him to bid his right hand goodbye. As Hai cries out in pain, he orders his gang to kill Chen. The men attack in unison, frightening the girls. Ling Xiu, worried for Chen's safety, contemplates how to escape and seek help when Chen effortlessly dispatches his attackers. The boss can't believe what he's seeing, despite being outnumbered 20-1. Chen prevails with a single counterattack. Another girl asks Ling Xiu if Chen has received any training. Ling Xiu admits she doesn't know. Hai, recovering from the shock, questions Chen's identity again. Before he can finish, Chen lunges at him, grabbing his neck tightly. With fury in his eyes, he asks Hai if he has any other brilliant ideas. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment part 2 in the comments section. Also subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.